Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapya Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhushcha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Yata sarvani bhutani pratibhanti stitani cha yatraiva bhashamam yanti tasmai satyatmane namaha. So I think we were chapter 3, verse 19, we begin tonight.
17.
17. Okay. And Punit, will you chant? I don't know about you, Ganesh, but the air quality here has been crappy, so my voice is a little gravelly.
Verse 17.
Yes.
Page 26.
Avidya sansriti chittam bandho jnanam manam tamah iti sankalpa jalasya namanyetani Rama, nescience, stream of worldly life, thinking substance, bondage, ignorance, mind, darkness. These are the names of the web of thoughts.
So this sounds like we did this one before, didn't we? Point is, the subject under discussion is, what's the problem? Why do I suffer? What makes my life unhappy? Why am I restless? Why am I discontent? And it's not that I'm a ego, a person that needs to go from point A to point B. That's like trying to count to the highest number. In the end, it never gets us there. Yoga thunders that the problem is ignorance. The problem is the non-apprehension of my essential nature. I think I'm something that I'm not. A technical term for this is called adhyasa, which means superimposition. We have the classic story. So there's a king, and he's in his palace, and it's a hot day, and everything's open, so there's a breeze. And he has the servants fill up his bathtub with lots of water, perfumed oils and stuff like that. Well, he was fond of smoking, weed. Probably had a hookah. So he gets in the tub. He was fat too. So he gets in the tub and he goes, the water spills out over the tub. You skinny people don't ever have that problem. Biceps. So he takes his bath and he's a little stoned. And then he finishes and he stands up in the bath and he steps out and he's about ready to ask one of the servants for a towel, and he steps on a snake. And he says, oh, I'm a goner. It's gonna bite me and I'm dead. So he says, you people stay away. Only one of us will die tonight. And then one of the servants says, my lord, your majesty, please look down. No, I can't bear to look. Please look down, your majesty. And it wasn't a snake that he stepped on, but a wet piece of rope. So he had real fear. His mind made up these stories. But the cause of his fear was adhyasa. What was there was a wet piece of rope. Felt kind of like a snake would feel. So he superimposed on the rope a snake. Now, where was the snake? On the ground? Yes, in his mind. Did the rope have to undergo any change? Yes, no? None. What he had to do was realize what was there. The problem is not that there was a snake that needs to be turned into a rope. Oh, I'm a miserable creature and I want to become spiritual. No, that's not our problem. Our problem is, I think I'm a person and I'm not. I was just listening to Nirvana Shatakam earlier tonight. The refrain is Chidananda Rupaham, Shivoham, Shivoham. I am of the form of bliss consciousness. I am Shiva. I am auspiciousness. It's not something we're going to affirm. I'm doing affirmations. I am Shiva, I am Shiva, I am Shiva, I am Shiva. No, it's a wasted effort of speech. Doesn't work that way. It's not like I look down, oh boy, it sure looks like a snake. Rope. Oh, it still looks like a snake. Rope. Is that how we do it? No. Here's my favorite. I've been doing rope yoga for 20 years. So far, I'm progressing. The head of the snake is turned into a rope. Is that how it works? Yes? No?
No.
Here's the saddest. I'm going to get out a baseball bat and I'm just going to beat the hell out of that snake until it becomes a rope. How many of us engage in shame, self-abuse? Oh, terrible. I'm such a sinner. I'm so bad. Will you do that? I'm gonna make that snake into a rope. Vicharena, by means of vichara, I have to investigate. Look. I'll reach down and look, grab it. It's not a snake. It's a wet piece of rope. So, what I have done is superimpose upon myself the qualities of the not self. Now, that's actually only half the picture. The term the scriptures use is anyonya adhyas, which means mutual superimposition. So I not only superimpose upon the self the qualities of the not self, I, as it were, externalize away from myself the qualities of the self and superimpose them on the world. There's Trevor. He's sitting over there. He has an existence separate from me. He's a conscious being separate from me. I really like him. Happiness is over there. So I superimpose upon the self the qualities of the not self. And then I superimpose upon the not self, the world, the qualities of the self. Anyonya adhyas, mutual superimposition. So Yoga Vasishtha will thunder both bondage and liberation occur to the mind. The self is ever free. Oh, I can't wait till I have an experience of the self. Paramatman, oh, it's supreme. Now I'm just Jivatman. Paramatman, I can't wait till I get there. No. Who sees the phone? That's yourself.
So,
Okay.
so is the self therefore like the ordinary mind that we go through, like just in everyday life, like it's always present?
Kind of yes and kind of no. It just depends on what kind of ordinary mind you've got. If your ordinary mind is convinced that you're the body, you're in deep trouble. If, on the other hand, your ordinary mind is convinced, I am that ground of being, I am pure awareness. Yes, the very awareness of the waking state. Then you're right. Can you see what I mean by the difference there?
Yeah, I think I can.
Otherwise, we don't want to get caught in what I call the Vedanta logic loop, where we end up being so smart in Vedanta-ing the heck out of stuff that we just rationalize our suffering. Let's see. Oh, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real. I might as well just smoke another joint. Maybe try a little heroin tomorrow. That's not freedom. So we're working for a liberated personality to be Jivan Mukta, so that you are liberated right here, right now, in this very body, not after you die. But it's not about changing the self. So what this verse is saying, and many words we use to describe the fundamental problem. Fundamental problem is the non-apprehension of my essential nature. It's kind of like this. Has anybody seen my glasses? I've looked all over the house. Do you know where my glasses are? I can't seem to find my glasses. I went through all my pockets. You know, I looked through all the drawers. I have no idea. Where did I put my glasses? I have lost my glasses. Just like saying, I don't know myself. What am I going to do? Oh, well, there they are. Now, did I get new glasses? Was I ever without them? Another one. Have you ever left the house saying, oh my God, did I forget my keys? Through your coat pockets. Oh, yes, there they are. Ever had that experience? Did you lose your keys? No, you just forgot where they were. Isn't that what happened? Mm-hmm. So we have, as it were, forgotten our essential nature. I think infants know it. They're very close. Man. But this avarana shakti, this veiling power comes down as ego develops. We forget who we are. Once I forget who I am, the technical term here is a vritti or avarana shakti, veiling power. Happens to the mind, not the self. Then the mind projects the ego. This chit chaya, we call it. Chaya in Hindi means shadow, doesn't it? Yes? Sanskrit, it means both shadow and reflection. It's a counterfeit self. It's a phony self. When I think I'm a person, when I think I'm an individuality, when I think I'm the body, or the body plus my personality. So back to our snake and the rope. What did the king have to do? Investigate, Your Majesty. Look down, see what it is you stepped on. Oh no, I'm too scared, I'm too scared. Look. Oh, it's a wet piece of rope. So what must we do? Not just read books, not just watch YouTube videos, but endeavor to quieten the mind. Why? Because in a quiet mind, when the frequency and the volume of thought has been reduced, then we endeavor to have what I call the radical reversal of the attentive faculty. It's like trying to look behind your eyes, trying to taste your tongue, like trying to shine a flashlight on its own batteries. You will never see yourself as an object. Mind made very still. Your attention focused within. Who am I? See, there's nothing there. Oh my gosh, am I zero? It is without form, without qualities, without characteristics, yet it shines as pure awareness. And also is directly always known as I. Let's see if we can come into an experience of that. We know the world through what we call the triple factor. The triple factor, there's a knower, as Swamiji used to say, knowing, and known. He talked funny like that. He really did. Knower, knowing, and know. Triple factor. Let me give you an example. I am the knower. Seeing is the means of knowledge. Candle on the table is object of knowledge. I am the knower. Hearing is the means of knowledge. Traffic sounds, object of knowledge. I am the knower. Knows is the means of knowledge. Incense fragrance is the object of knowledge. You get knower, knowing, and known? Now let's go to subtle world. I am the knower. Manas or mind is the means of knowledge. Feelings are the object of knowledge. I am the knower. Buddhi, intellect, is the means of knowledge. Thought is the object of knowledge. How do you know you are you? You do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell, I. You don't emote, I. You don't think, I. But you know you are. That knowledge is outside or beyond the triple factor. Or we can say the triple factor is merged in you. I am the knower, I am the means of knowledge, I am that which is known, not as an object. But I'm self-evident. Pardon me? The subtle intellect needs to realize that the phony self, the identification with the body, isn't real. It is like the snake and the rope. You can't be your body. Take a deep breath. Don't you know the breath in the body? Rub your leg or scratch your leg. Don't you know the sensation of scratching your leg? Classic one, when you were a child, you had a small body, you knew you had a small body. Your body changed through youth, through adolescence. You noticed the change, you knew the change. Now you're an adult, your body has changed again. Now you're 34 on your way to middle age. Body's changing again. White hair. But you know the changes in the body. It's kind of like this. Shankara keeps saying, you know your body like you know a pot. This little red glass is my pot. Jim, why don't you put the glass down? I can't because I'm a glass. Here, let me take the glass from you. No, don't touch it because I'm a glass. No, you're not a glass. You're sitting there holding the glass. The glass is yours. No, stop looking like that. I'm a glass. That seems ridiculous, doesn't it? That's what we do. Don't talk like that to me. Words coming to this body. Oh, I looked in the mirror. I'm not thin anymore. All of these things, this suffering is rooted in the deeply held conviction, I am the body. What is liberation? The deeply rooted conviction within the mind, technically the subtle intellect. Based in direct experience, I am Brahman. I'm that pure awareness. Not just indirect knowledge read from the scriptures or heard from the Guru, but in your own meditation, in a mind made very quiet, you look and inquire, who am I? Go on. See what you find. Any thoughts on this before we go on? This is the foundational practice for our particular tradition, jnana yoga, the path of self-inquiry.
Jim,
Next
I
person.
have,
Yes, please go ahead, Shweta.
well, I just wanted to ask/remark that in this analogy of snake rope, at least the way that I understand it is that there is a quality of aliveness which is actually in the king or in me. And that quality of aliveness I superimpose on something quote unquote outside. So I look at the rope and think it is a snake. So this quality of aliveness I take from myself and I put it on the rope, right? But going a little further, isn't this analogy also insufficient? Because it is still positing the existence of something that is inanimate, whereas going further, isn't it the case that the rope and me are really all in awareness?
Are you, when you say me, to what are you referring?
To anything that
Are you
can call
talking about
itself
your
me.
body or are you talking about yourself?
I'm saying that there is, if there is anybody that can say that the rope is inanimate, then that is itself as inanimate or as animate as the rope. That there is really, we cannot separate the two, can we?
But first of all, the snake and the rope is an example of superimposition. I wouldn't
Right.
confuse it with this idea of superimposing aliveness on snake or rope. That we're kind of torturing the metaphor there a bit. So let's back up. This is a very, very good question. Where is the essence of personness? Is it in your body?
No.
You keep on
Is-
saying
is
it's
the-
our mind that is the bondage.
Is it in, I would disagree with you.
No, you don't keep on saying that both bondage and liberation occur to the mind.
I
Everything is about
would
ignorance and
say that
understanding.
the mind is inert.
What do you mean by inert?
It has no sentience in and of itself.
Okay, well, I take it as imagination, so yes.
You are sentience. When you are aware of thought and feeling, we call it the mind.
Mhm.
Now, here's a very interesting word. Let's talk about life for a moment. So I don't know if people, I've never been in a rural area in India where people have gardens and lawns and things. But in America, if you're in like a suburb and you've got a hose and you want to water the lawn and you stretch out the hose and you go back and you turn on the faucet, and where you live, there's really, really good water pressure. What happens is the hose does the snake dance. It goes like this. Or like if you ever see a fire hose do that, where they let go of it by accident. What it does is it tries to create a sine wave. It's really what it's doing. But just because the hose is moving doesn't mean the hose is alive. The question is, what is life? Who is alive? And if we give up being concerned about metabolism, which in the end is just energy moving, and we think of life as sentience, we have this wonderful term in Gita, Purushottama, the Uttama Purusha. What is the ultimate essence of personness? What makes you you? And you see, in fact, the body is insentient. I know the body doesn't know itself. The mind is insentient, Justin. Love does not know hate. Confusion does not know arithmetic. One thought doesn't know another thought. It's inert. I know them. You see what I'm getting at?
I don't know.
Yes,
I just
so
take the mind
alive-
it's always
One
flowing.
at a time. One at a time. Let's
my
let
apologies.
Justin
Go
go
for it.
first, and we'll get Shweta. Justin,
I just take the mind as always flowing, just like, I mean,
what
all
do
the
you-
cells
what
in
is
my body.
flowing?
but-
Is awareness flowing?
No, the awareness is still, like it says, the awareness is that,
But you're not addressing my point. My point is the flow or the thoughts themselves, are they inherently sentient, or are you the knower of, call it the flow, call it thought by thought? I really
yes, that's what I think you're getting at exactly. Is
Yes.
that it's that I am the knower of the thoughts. I am what is aware of the
Yes, yes.
thoughts. I am
All right.
what aware of the body.
Good enough.
I am not
Okay,
the
now,
body or the
Shweta,
thoughts.
Shweta, what was your comment?
Well, just that you were saying who is alive, right? And as I understand, there is no who that is alive. There is aliveness.
Oh, you are mistaken. You are mistaken. The self is not an it. The self is the ultimate who.
Yes, so sure. Yes, okay.
That's why we call it Purushottama. You are not an it. That's the Shunyavadins who say ultimate reality is zero, Shunyata. Vedanta says, oh no, it is one entity. Go to your direct experience. You're not an it, you're a who. You are
Yes.
conscious, you are sentient, you have bhava. I mean, it's a great, great thing. So if we go to Gita and we go to the chapter 2, verse 16, I'm going brain dead here. Will you do me a favor, sweetheart? Look in the case there, you see a big orange Gita. You see them? And go to chapter 2, verse 16. I can't remember the Sanskrit. This is one of the most important verses, and people just gloss over it.
1:6.
Nasato vidyate.
Asato vidyate.
Chapter 2, verse 16 in the Gita.
Yeah, and he'll read it now.
Do you want me to read the English?
Read the Sanskrit, then the English.
Nasato vidyate bhavo nabhavi vidyate sataha ubhayo prapidrishtonta satvanayostvat darshidhihi.
Yes.
The unreal has no being. There is no non-being of the real. The truth about both these have been seen by the knowers of the truth or the seers of the essence.
So here, Krishna plays with these two Sanskrit words, sat and bhava. Sat is existence. Bhava means being, wholeness.
Mm.
So what he's saying, normally in our everyday world, we make distinctions between things and beings. The chair is a thing, the phone is a thing, Soundarya is a being. Punit, I'm not so sure about things and beings. Then we talk about existence and non-existence. The table is, the chair is, the child of a barren woman doesn't exist. The horns of a hare doesn't exist. So you get our two distinctions, things and beings, existence, non-existence. Now, with that in mind, what Krishna is saying is, if it exists, it has being. If it has no being, it doesn't exist. Read the English one more time. This is very cool. This is very cool. I'm sorry, I should go read the thing onto it. Nasato vidyate.
Yeah, I found it.
Can't remember it anymore.
The English again?
Yeah, just the English.
The unreal has no being.
Okay, let's stop there. So if it is unreal, if it's just imagination, it has no being. Castles in the air, horns of a hare, they have no being. They're just thought, they're just imagination. Next idea.
Jim, the question that comes to my mind on this is that what is it that one can think of that has no being? The fact that one has thought it, doesn't that itself bring it into the sphere of consciousness? I mean, it is
It is in the sphere of consciousness, but it is asat. Only you have being. Read the second phrase, second pada.
There is no non-being of the real.
Yes. So what he's saying is the only thing that has real existence is being itself. Everything else is sankalpa, basically.
Yeah, I think I see what you're saying.
So we got to be very careful when I say, where is life? You see, is the dog alive? Now, wait a minute. The only thing that has life is bhava, being, which is consciousness itself. Shankara phrases it this way: Brahma Satyam Jagam Mithya. Brahman alone is real. Brahman alone has bhava, being. Name and form without exception. Mithya.
Yes.
So we tortured our metaphor. Our metaphor was what's real. Rope. He's saying is Brahman. The snake is all the stuff we superimpose with imagination. And the
Right.
most important thing we're dealing with is ego, the phony self, this chaya. It's not a real entity. It is like the child of a barren woman. It is like the horns of a hare. It has no substance to it. But I sure think it does. And I sure spend a whole lot of time trying to secure and protect it. But it's like trying to secure and protect your shadow. That's what makes me so crazy.
I see.
A little clearer?
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thanks.
Very good questions. Very good questions. And don't believe me, Shweta. Check it out for yourself. See if you can begin to see the difference between aham, my direct experience of I, and any thought of self. Any thought of self is a quality of the body, a quality of the mind, a quality of the intellect that I have superimposed upon the self. I'm
Yes,
tall, I'm short. Oh no, you're not tall and short. It's the body. I'm nice. I'm really kind of a mean son of a bitch. No, those are qualities of the mind. I'm good. Oh, I'm terrible. Those are qualities of the judgments of the intellect. They're not about me. What are the qualities about me? Aham nirvikalpo. I haven't got any qualities at all. But don't believe me. Don't believe Shankara. You find out. Good questions. All right, next verse. Not Gita, but back to Yoga Vasishtha.
Sankalpa jale kalite sarupam avishishyate mahapralaya sampattau asattam samupagate ashesha drishya sargadvau shantam evavashishyate asate nasti mito bhasvan paramatma maheshwaraha. When the web of thoughts has dropped, one's own natural state is left behind. When the great dissolution is accomplished and the state of non-existence is reached, and at the beginning of the creation of the entire visible universe, only stillness remains. The Supreme Self, the Great Lord, the light or sun which does not set, exists.
Yes. So he is using mythology to talk about states of consciousness, states of mind. So let's pull this apart. So would you read the first phrase again?
When the web of thoughts has dropped.
Yes, sankalpa jala. Is that the term he used?
Sankalpa jala.
Yeah, jala means a web, like a spider's web. Sankalpa is imagination. But we have to also understand that there's a power in this word. Sankalpa is the process whereby thoughts turn into things, whereby thoughts become grossified. What is the difference between my mind and the world? The world, for me, my experience of it, is a grossified form of my mind. What do I mean by gross and subtle? So it has to do with vibrational differences. Ice is grosser than water. Water is grosser than steam. Steam is subtler than water. Water is subtler than ice. Sankalpa is the process whereby thought becomes grossified into what we see as my life. The old-timey example that Ramana Maharshi would use. Young people don't know what these things are anymore. There used to be a thing called a movie projector. And it had a lamp, and there was film on celluloid film on reels. You've probably seen those old-timey things. And then it was projected onto the movie screen. The lamp is like pure awareness. The mind is sankalpa. It's the images on the film. And what happens out there is the world. Now, macrocosmically, it is Ishvara who's projecting the whole world. But my experience of the world comes through my particular attitudes and deeply rooted sanskaras and vasanas, sankalpas. Now, read the next phrase as when it talks about pralaya. So that come later.
This next part is one's own natural state is left behind.
Read the first part again.
When the web of thoughts has dropped, one's own natural state is left behind.
Yes, yes. So if in our example of the movie projector, you remove the film but leave the lamp on, there's just light. Likewise, when the mind quits its compulsive thoughting, the space between your thoughts, my essential nature is what remains. Mind is nothing but the awareness of the flow of thought. Remove the flow of thought, and what remains is pure awareness. This is the purpose of all our sadhana, is to be able to undo these vasanas that compel the mind into believing itself, creating this jagat jala, this web of the world, this sankalpa jala. Next phrase.
When the great dissolution is accomplished and the state of non-existence is reached.
So pralaya, that's usually a term that's used when the end of the age happens, the great destruction, the big crunch that follows the Big Bang. Doesn't mean that. What it means is samadhi. It means when all the attachments have been given up, all the identifications have been let go. when I have renounced the mind itself. The mind dissolves. Here he's calling it the great dissolution pralaya. It's also called manonasha, the destruction of the mind. It's also called samadhi. It's also called paravairagya, supreme detachment. Then the ground of being is what remains. Any thoughts on this?
Jim, isn't it funny that it's called the state of non-existence?
Here we mean the non-existence of thingness. Here,
Yes,
non-existence
yes.
here means the non-existence of I am the body, I am a musician, I am an academic, I am a mother, I am this, that, and the other thing. All those relativistic existences
Right.
cease to exist. Good question. Good question.
Just basically the via negativa, is it not? Like it's better to talk about what God is not rather than what God is.
Whatever. Let's go on.
Sorry.
Next verse.
Yato vacho nivartante yo muktai avagamyate yasya chatmadika sagnya kalpitana swabhavaja. From whence words return, unable to define, who is understood by the liberated, for whom names such as self have been fashioned and not born of innate disposition.
So the problem that many of us have is we think it's figure-outable. And we keep trying to draw analogies and parallels and metaphors and similes. The best these can do is point. It is achintyam, unthinkable. Avyapadation, you can't even talk about. Yet it is knowable. To try to know the self by figuring it out is like trying to taste the color yellow. It's the wrong instrument. You will not see, hear, taste, touch, or smell the self. The self is not a feeling. Self is not an ideal. It's like this, Jim, or it's similar to this, or Socrates says that, or the Persians say this. No, drop it all. Drop it all. Yet it is absolutely knowable because it's me. Why we have this apparent contradiction. How can it both be unknowable and yet be known? It's unknowable, there's nobody realized. It's all a bunch of superstition, you know. It is knowable. It's myself. Now, one of the other images I like to use. If you go visit somebody who has a swimming pool, do they have swimming pools in India? They must have swimming pools in India. Yeah, they do. Okay, so when you have youngsters and there's a pool party, And one of the gals is there in the water, and she didn't take her bangle off. She's got it on her wrist. They're splashing around, and all of a sudden it comes off in the water, and she doesn't realize it. And it's in the water. She gets out of the pool and says, "Oh my God, I've lost my bangle." What do you do? Well, the grown-ups say, "All right, everybody quit moving or get out of the water." Why? Because you can't see to the bottom of the pool as long as the surface of the water is moving. As soon as everything's still, someone says, "There it is, it's down by the 5-foot mark." And somebody dives in and gets it for her. You see, that's what we do in meditation. As long as the mind is still moving in the subtle intellect, in the vijnana maya kosha, there's still the propensity for superimposition, to get confused. I still think I'm a person. So this is the value of bringing the mind in quiescence. Then, what's behind all the thoughts? The real, very clear. That's the process that we go through. All right, next one.
Avirbhava tirobhava maya tribubha normaya spurantaya titate yasmin maraviva marichaya. Spread over whom manifest the waves of the three worlds in the form of appearance and disappearance, just as mirages in a desert.
Yes, so on this great ground of being, which we call Brahman, which we call Atman, which we call Purusha, has many names, even though we can't name it. The whole universe is spread. Now, we have another example of adhyas that's used in this verse. We talked about snake and rope. Snake and rope is like samadhi. When the mind goes into that thunderous silence, the ego and the world are not available. I alone exists. But now we're talking about another kind of superimposition. Mirage waters in the desert. So if you're driving through the desert, you look ahead, sand in front of you looks, oh my God, there's a flood. What am I going to do? How am I going to drive around it? You keep driving down the road. Water seems to recede into the distance. And you realize, oh, it's not real water. It's an optical illusion. It's heat waves coming off the sand. Once you realize that, does the water disappear? Does it?
No.
Well, the water disappears, but it still looks like water. You see what I mean? Water was never really there. I just thought it was there. So for the woman of knowledge, as she's functioning in the world, she sees the same people, places, things, and conditions as you or I. Just like the person driving through the desert still sees what looks like water. But her knowledge is, just the mirage of the Lord, the Maya, the pratibimba, the reflection. It's a sparkling, seen but not real. Seen but not real. It's a real optical illusion, but it's not really something out there that's separate from consciousness. And just as you're looking at the mirage waters, it doesn't touch the sand at all. Oh, we have to be careful about the quicksand in this part of the desert. We had a mirage here last night. No, it doesn't alter or change the substratum at all. So you must prove to yourself that no situation ever changes you. How do you do that? You hang out with Sakshi Baba, the attitude of the witness, as you're going through your life. Keep checking out yourself, just these little flashes. See if you can notice. Are you still Brahman? Are you still that just vast, empty space of consciousness? Yes. A feeling arises. Oh, I feel so embarrassed. No, wait a minute. Am I embarrassed, or is that just a mind state? Nope. I'm still just Shilakash, the space of consciousness. Oh, I feel so ashamed. I had the most horrible thought. Wait a minute. Does the self have shame? No. Don't believe me. Maybe deep inside there's a little tiny person who's all curled up. Look inside. Do you see anybody like that? It's inside. Chidananda Rupaham. In the form of bliss consciousness. Or that very first line of the Brahma Jnana Valley of Shankara, Asangoham, 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 Puna Punaha. I'm unattached, I'm unattached, I'm unattached. Puna Punaha, again and again, meaning you practice it. He just doesn't say Asangoham. He says 3 times, then he says Puna Punaha. We practice that. Satchidananda Rupaham, I'm of the form of existence, consciousness, and bliss. Aham eva aham. I am that I am. Amyayaha. Beautiful. Don't believe me. Don't believe Shankara. You find out yourself. Now, if I think I'm a person, usually that means I'm identified with the body, or the body plus the personality. The watchword is if I feel like a person, an individual, I have what's called jiva bhavana, the feeling, the attitude that I'm a person. Here, the fruit of this verse, detach. Have this radical reversal of your attention. And when the phony self falls, it's like shining a light on a shadow, it just disappears. Now, here's where I say you have to watch out for a demon. Jim, do you believe in demons? Well, this demon I do. This demon you won't find in the scriptures. I made him up. His name is Yebat. Because what he will say, yeah, but Jim, what about those thoughts? Yeah, but what about my job? Or yeah, but what about this? This is important, Jim. Yeah, but what about how terrible I am? Yeah, but that's ego's strategy to try to get you to re-identify. Even after realization of the truth, Shankara says there exists a strong impression that one is the doer and the enjoyer. This sense of I'm a person, which is the cause for rebirth. It means I re-identify. What do I do about it? This needs to be conscientiously removed through steady and continuous identification with the self. That's the practice. This is called jnana abhyasa, the practice. All right, this is very dense and very rich stuff. I think we'll stop here tonight. What verse will we be on next week?
22.
Okay, verse 22 next week. We'll end here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om. Thank